Craig here. Welcome to my kitchen and cooking with Drench. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to make what I call haggis mini bites. Basically they're just little haggis pies. So it's a two-step process. First step is to make the pastry for the pies. I'll put all the ingredients and what you do in the description below. But then the second step is then to make the filling for the pie, so the haggis that goes in it. I'm going to do it a different way today, so I'm going to try and include all the additional ingredients in there as well. Okay, so I've just brought this water up to the boil. I've got my butter and my lard all here, so let's get them all in. I've cut them into much smaller chunks. Obviously they melt a lot quicker then. We just need to get this all melted down. So, as you can see, that's going pretty quickly. Okay, that's that bit done. Let me get this cleared out of the way so that we can actually then make the pastry. Right, so like I said, 400 grams of flour, has a teaspoon of salt in it. Not this makes much difference. I always put a well in the middle. There's a huge amount of liquid here, so it always spills the well. Right, what I do, let's get this mixed round. I use the handle of my spoon. I do need to get a spurtle and do this with. As you can see, it is very warm. So it's coming together nicely there. Let's get this all mixed around. We need to try and get all, or as much of the flour in it as possible. So working it all around, getting the flour off the sides of the bowl as well. Okay, and that actually looks perfect. Right, so let's get some of this stuff moved out of the way. Now, what we need to do, a little bit of flour on the worktop. Okay, let's get that on there. That's looking really good. Bit of extra flour over the top, and what we need to do is just work it into a nice smooth pastry. That feels really good. Okay, what we don't want to do, we don't want to overwork this at this stage. It is still very warm, but that is now virtually ready to use if we can get it down to temperature. If we were trying to roll this out just now, it's just gonna everywhere. Right, so way to do that. Cling film. Let's get this wrapped in the cling film. Sometimes use food storage bags, but cling film works just as well, obviously. This needs to go into the fridge for at least 2 hours. When it comes out of the fridge, it is ready to use. Get it back up to room temperature, so 10 minutes out of the fridge. Or you can actually freeze it at this stage to use later. let's get on to the haggis. Got everything prepped and ready to go. Let me run through quickly what we need. I'm using a Simon Howie haggis again. I do like the taste of Simon Howie haggis, so that's why I use it. We've got chopped onion, we've got diced carrots, diced neeps, so turnip or Swede, whichever you prefer, or whichever one you can get hold of. 150 mils of double cream, garlic, flour, salt, pepper, thyme, and I'm going to use, I'm going to actually make a lamb stock. You can use vegetable or chicken stock because it's not always that easy to get hold of lamb stock, but I'm going to use a lamb stock for this. And the optional ingredient is going to be a nice single malt whiskey, but I'll go into a little bit more detail on that in a second. So let's zoom in and let's see what we do. Okay, right, that's all on and on the go. So onion in first. Let's get that stirring around. What we need to do is we just need to get this softened down a little bit. So once that's sizzling away, then I will add the garlic. Okay, that's sizzling away nicely now, so let's get the garlic in. So 2 kilos of garlic. Again, we just need to get this all nicely softened up. So that should only take a minute or two. Okay, next in the neeps. So the turnip. In we go. In fact, let me put all of it in. Okay, so this is going to take 2 or 3 minutes just to start getting this softened up. Okay, that's now cooking away nicely, so let's get these carrots in. I'm going to add about the same amount of carrots as I've got neeps. So I will have some carrots left over. A little bit of overkill on the carrots. There you go. So now we're just going to mix this around for another 5-ish minutes. Again, we just want to start softening things off so that when we come to add the haggis to it, they will all cook away nicely. Okay, now time to add in the haggis. You can see that this has already got really lovely vibrant colours. So we're just going to cook the haggis like it's mince or ground beef. So we need to just get it in, get it browned off and cooking. So we need to break it up into chunks. So let's get the casing off it. Sometimes easier to start breaking it up before we put it in. This is such a much better way of cooking haggis rather than the boil in the bag technique. But that works just as well if you make a really nice mash and really nice mashed neeps. It works really, really well. Okay, so what we want to do, we're going to get this mince all browned off. And this will take quite a few minutes to do that. Okay, so what we need now is to get the flour in. Like I said, it's about a tablespoon of flour, plain flour. This is going to thicken up our stock. So let's get that all through there. Perfect, right, okay, let's get the stock in there. Let's give it a little stir. Okay, so this is our gravy. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go a little bit over, not a huge amount. Just make sure we get all of the stock in there. Okay, right, so now that is our gravy. Oh, look at that. Okay, we also want to finish cooking off the carrots and the neeps. This is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes. I will probably have to add more water to this because I don't want it boiling dry. I want some of this lovely gravy in there. There is more bits to add to the gravy, so you don't want it too runny at this stage. But what I'll do is I'll bring that back up to the boil and I will come back to you. Okay, that's it, just coming up to the boil. As you can see, I've added a little bit more water. What we need to do is now cook this for about 20 minutes. Get it all reduced down. As you can see, if you'd added that second haggis, it would have been very meaty. So it is looking so good and smelling so good as well. We'll leave the lid off for the next 20 minutes because we want this to thicken up. We want a nice thick gravy for this. So I'll be back when this is ready. Right, that is looking absolutely perfect and smells so good as well. Right, a couple of things I need to do. First off, I need to just make sure both the carrots and the neeps are cooked. A bit of a crunch to the neeps, which is nice. Same with the carrots. If you want them softer, obviously either pre-cook them or the sauce is nice as well. Or just we can cook these for longer, but that I could probably do with a couple of minutes longer just to make this sauce thicker, because at this point we are going to actually add a little bit more liquid. So what I will do, I will keep this going for another couple of minutes and then I'll come back to you. Okay, that's that now done. So what I need to do, just need to get this off the heat. A few more bits and pieces just to finish off the sauce. So let me get tidied down, get this hot plate out of the way, and then we can just get this sauce finished. Right, that is looking and smelling absolutely perfect. Let's just have a little check on the haggis itself. Oh, that tastes so good. Oh, it's got a nice little kick of pepper, so I don't think, well, I know I don't need anything else in there. Right, so let's get the cream in. Gone for a nice double cream here. Nice and thick, so let's get all of that in there. And let's get this just stirred around. Like I said, there is quite a lot of liquid to go in, which is why I wanted the other bit less runny. So it's a lovely creamy gravy. Right. Now for the optional bit. What I'm using a single malt, so a drinking whiskey rather than a cooking whiskey. And the single malt I'm using is Glen Scotia. It's a 10-year-old malt whiskey. It's from a little place called Campbelltown on the west coast of Scotland. It doesn't matter what whiskey you use. Different whiskies will give it different flavors. But this is a really nice, fruity, slightly spicy whiskey. And it's a really, really nice whiskey. Like you can see, I've got 2 drams here. Okay, so 2 measures of whiskey. First whiskey is for the haggis. So that goes in. Let's get that stirred in nicely. This is traditional Scottish thing to do when you are eating haggis. Now the second whiskey, that is there for a different reason. What you have to do when you're having haggis is share your whiskey with the haggis. So the second whiskey is for me, Slangevar. Oh, that is, oh, the whiskey's nice as well. But, okay, that is smelling, looking so good. Okay, bit hot to go into the pastry. Oh. Right, so let's get this covered over, and what we'll do is we'll put that aside, let it cool down, and then we'll get it back in when we come to use it. Obviously, I got far too excited with the whiskey. So what we need a teaspoon of thyme, ish, that in there. Let's get that stirred around. And as you can see, that is lovely and thick. It is really nice. Okay, right. Let's get this out of the way and let's get going. Right, okay, there we go. That has set beautifully. This is actually hot water crust pastry that I made yesterday or last night, just so I knew it'd be ready. It's been out of the fridge for several hours, just to get it back up to room temperature so that we can work with it. I'm not going to roll out everything in one go. because that just makes things very unmanageable. So let's just get a dusting of flour onto the worktop. Perfect, like that. And let's start off with that much. Okay, we'll need a little dusting on top as well. Okay, so let's just, I always just press it down just to get started off with. You can buy guides just so that you get exactly the same thickness every time. I've only got a dinky little roller, so it doesn't really work that effectively for me. So what we want to do is we want to get this really, really thin. Just means that it cooks nice and quickly. Okay, so let's do that. Right, let's have a little look at that. Probably do it a little bit thinner. What we don't want to doing is cracking in when we're cooking it. Don't want to stick into the roller like that either. Okay, so I think that is really, really thin there. So what we need to do, I know the sizes that I need. So this is for the lids, and then this is for the bases. So let's get a base cut first. Okay, first base cut. Like that. A base. Oh, I'll be able to get a couple of lids out of this. So I go where it's cracked. Perfect. Okay, right. Gonna need 6 in the thing I've got. So there's 1. There's 2. Right. Just don't want these sticking together, otherwise it is a complete nightmare. Okay, let's add a little bit more of the pastry. This can now either be put back into the fridge, will last a couple of days in the fridge, or what we can do is we can stick in the freezer and then use it when necessary. Right, so I haven't cleared down yet, as you can see, but what we're going to do, we are going to get these all put in to here. I've lightly greased this tin with some butter. As you can see, there's quite a bit left over there. So what we need to do, we need to get this down and pressed in. If you want, rather than using your finger, you can use another piece of pastry. But let's get all of these in there. And what we then need to do, once that is all in nicely, make sure there are no gaps in it, make sure it's nice and even. Use my knife again, and I'm just going to cut through it. So we've got a nice level pastry. Right, I'll zoom through this and I'll come back to you. Right, so there are all the casings in there. Something I don't always do as neatly as this, because you don't have to. If you haven't used a guide, you will feel that some of them are thicker than others, and you can actually see some of them are thicker than others. But that is that bit all done. Okay, so nice and ready to go. This is cooling down nicely. Still probably a little bit warm, but let's get these mini pies loaded up. Right, so let's get everything squeezed down in them. As you can see, it's not a huge amount of content in there. We want to get them down as nice and low as possible. It's just over 1 tablespoon. I'm trying to get as much sauce in there as possible as well, and just squish them down as much as we can. They're looking so good. Right, let's just make sure there's nothing on the sides there. Well, that one could do with a little bit more. So could that one. Gonna try and just make them as full as we can. Perfect, right, let's get this haggis back out of the way. I will use this leftover haggis. There's loads. I'll probably make another batch of these, and I will use it for something else as well. Okay, final little bit. What we need to do, we need to get these lids on. So what I'm going to do, a little bit of an egg wash here. So let's get just 1 egg that's been whipped up with a fork. And a little spot of milk added. So this is the underside of the casing. So we're going to get that on to there, and what we need to do is just seal that off so we don't get any overspill. I have to just lift it up a little bit and just get it crimped around. This comes with a bit of practice. Oh, that's not working particularly well. But this is the problem with making it far too tight at the top, so far too neat. So let's get this second one done. You might see it better on this one. That first one's done okay. I've managed to crimp it underneath. So let's get this second one done. There's more of an overlap there, so let's push that down like that into there. And there we can see we're getting that nice overlap on there. Okay, so I'll continue doing this and I will come back to you once it's all done. Okay, we just want to try and get a nice seal between the 2 layers so there isn't too much of a overflow. Make sure there's nothing on the side as well. So that is looking really, really nice. Okay, right, so what I do, using a small sharp knife, just get 1 little air vent in the top. What we now want is another coating of the egg wash on top. If you haven't got egg wash, you can use just milk. works just as well. This gives it, it does give it a lovely golden color to it. What I will do is I'll double check that these air vents are open once I've got these on there. They work really well as either a starter. I know I've used this to make starters with different fillings, or you can have a couple as a main course. So that looks really good now. So let's just make sure these vents are still all open. Perfect. Right, let's get these out of the way. Right, air fryer time. So let's get in on the air fryer. Now, this only does fit into the bottom of the air fryer, otherwise the door doesn't close. I'm going to do it at 190 degrees, 20 minutes. I'm then going to come back, rotate the tray around a little bit, and give them the full 40 minutes in there. Okay, they are looking and smelling so good. So let's get these out. Oh, look at that. Let's get them turned around. Okay, they're only about halfway done. They are feeling really nice though. Not sticking at all, so that's really nice. So let's get these back in. Oh, in fact, that's going really nice at that time. Obviously with the heat, it's contracted, so they now fit in really nicely into that middle shelf. So again, 190, 20 minutes. Apologies for my arm being in the way. So 20 minutes, let's go with that. And then it will be them done. Okay, so that is the second 20 minutes done. Oh, I didn't seal the top very well, so got a bit of leakage, but they are looking and smelling so good. Right, what we need is a cooling rack in here. So I need to realign my video and get all of these out and onto a cooling rack. Okay, so that's a little disappointing, some of them are leaked, but hey ho. When I get my Michelin star, I will have to rectify that. But let's have a little taste. Oh, you can hear the crunch. Oh, that looks, oh, and the smell coming out is so good. So let's have a little taste of this. That is so good. Right, so what you can do, I've used these as starters, or these little pie cases as starters. They're a bit big for a little buffet, but you could always use them as a buffet. You could have two as a main course, but these are really, really delicious. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share, and I will see you next time.